Look at a map of the world. You might see something very interesting. Many countries that are very wealthy, with a lot of money, are often found in the colder parts of the world. On the other hand, countries with less money are typically located in much hotter places, often closer to the middle of the earth. These hot areas are called the tropics. This creates a clear and striking picture when you compare rich and poor nations. So, why does this pattern appear on our maps? Does colder weather truly help a country become rich, or is there another, deeper reason for this difference? This book will look into the strong connection between a country's average temperature and how much money its people have. However, we must be careful when we look at such patterns. Just because two things seem to happen together does not mean that one thing causes the other. This is a very important idea to understand. Think about a common example: ice cream sales and people drowning. Imagine that during the summer months, more people buy ice cream. At the same time, more people drown in lakes or the ocean. If you only look at these two facts, you might think that buying ice cream makes people drown. But this is not true. The real reason for both is the summer season itself. When it is hot in summer, more people want to buy ice cream to cool down. Also, because of the warm weather, more people go swimming. When more people swim, there is a higher chance that some will drown. So, the warm summer weather causes both more ice cream sales and more drownings. Eating ice cream does not cause drownings. This is a clear example of what we call correlation, two things happening together, versus causation, where one thing directly makes the other happen. We see a strong connection between how warm a country is and how much money its people have. But is the weather truly the master of a country's future? Or is there a hidden variable, a secret factor, like the summer in the ice cream example? This hidden factor might be causing both the temperature patterns and the wealth differences. This book will deeply investigate this question. We will look at the numbers and the facts to understand the real link between temperature and money. 2. The numbers show a problem. We have seen that warm and cold places have different amounts of money. Now, let's look at the numbers closely. Experts who study data use something called the coefficient of determination, often called R-squared. This number helps us understand how much one thing affects another. When these experts compared the average temperature of 98 countries with how much money each country makes per person, GDP per capita, the R-squared number was about 0.087, or nearly 9%. This is important because it means that almost 9% of a country's wealth is directly linked to its average temperature.
To put this in simple terms, the data suggests that for every 1 degree Celsius that the average temperature goes up, a country's wealth per person can fall by about $762. This shows a clear pattern in the global economy. This trend is not just seen across the world, it also happens even within one country. Let's take Australia as an example. The city of Darwin is located in the northern part of the country. It has many natural resources, like minerals, and is closer to important trading countries such as China, Indonesia, and India. Because of these advantages, you might think Darwin would be one of the wealthiest cities in Australia. But the truth is different. Darwin is the hottest capital city in Australia, and it is also the poorest among them. Its average temperature is high, around 28.2 degrees Celsius, which is about 82.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Now consider cities like Melbourne and Sydney. They are located much further south, meaning they are colder. These cities are also further away from some major shipping lanes and do not have as many natural resources as Darwin. Yet Melbourne and Sydney are the two richest cities in the country. Their climates are much more moderate, with average yearly temperatures around 15.6 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. In 2022, the economy of Melbourne was much larger, around 215 billion Australian dollars, and Sydney's was about 141 billion Australian dollars.
Darwin's economy, in contrast, was only 9.8 billion Australian dollars. This strong difference shows that even inside the same country, being closer to the hot tropical regions can mean a weaker economy. The issue becomes even more serious when we look at future changes. Researchers at the well-known Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, have studied how warmer temperatures from one year to the next affect money. They found that in developing countries, if the average yearly temperature increases by just 1 degree Celsius, the country's total wealth per person, GDP per capita, can decrease by 1.1%. This finding is quite startling. Economic experts have noted that an economy can easily enter a difficult period, called a recession, with just a 3% drop in its GDP. This means that even a small rise in temperature can cause very big and damaging financial problems for many countries. The numbers clearly tell us that there is a strong link between warmer temperatures and a country having less money. This makes the problem very real and something we must understand. 3. History was very different. We have seen that today, colder countries are often richer. But when we look at history, the story changes completely. Long ago, things were the opposite. Some of the most powerful and wealthy empires in the world grew in hot places. Think of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, which are in what is now the Middle East. Other rich areas included parts of Central America and India. These lands had warm weather for most of the year. This gave them a huge advantage. Why winter is important. Winter was once a very dangerous time for people living in northern lands. The cold weather meant that plants stopped growing and food became scarce for many months. This yearly challenge, some researchers believe, led to important new ideas and ways of living. It forced ancient groups in colder regions to think ahead and prepare for difficult times just to stay alive. This ongoing struggle was a powerful driver for innovation. To survive the freezing temperatures, these populations needed to find clever ways to increase their crop yields and then store what they harvested. This resulted in people developing hoarding behaviors, meaning they carefully saved and stored resources. They also had to build more complex structures. These buildings were needed to protect themselves and their food from the harsh winter elements. Planning for long-term growth and development became a natural part of their lives, even if it was at a small family or community level. This continuous need to prepare and store things led to what some call cold weather innovation, a set of practices that would benefit them greatly in the future. Now let's look at places with warm weather, often called the tropics. Here, nature provided food almost all year. There was no harsh winter that threatened to cut off their food supply or freeze them, so people in these regions did not necessarily need to innovate in the same ways when it came to storing resources or building complex structures for protection. While people in warm climates still worked hard and innovated in many areas, their environment did not create the same kind of pressure to constantly hoard resources or face annual challenges for survival that people in the north experienced. If farming had stayed the main way civilizations grew rich, warmer lands might have continued to be the most powerful. But this did not happen. As the Industrial Revolution started, farming needed less work. Food could be gathered faster. A country's power no longer came from growing food all year. New storage methods and more trade changed how economies worked. When the world shifted to an economy based on technology, industry, and new ideas, the skills developed in colder regions became very useful. The ability to plan for the future, manage resources efficiently, and create strong, durable structures gave these northern cultures an early advantage. This head start helped them grow their wealth and economies much faster than many countries in warmer climates. They were better prepared for a global economy that valued trade and acquiring resources. It is important to understand that this difference is not about some people being smarter, stronger, or more capable than others. All humans have the same capacity for innovation and growth. The reason colder countries are wealthier today has more to do with the environments and the resources that were available to them in the past and present. The different challenges posed by climate shaped how different societies developed their skills and technologies over many centuries. Sickness and the heat. The invisible enemy of warm places is sickness. In tropical regions, there is no killing frost. A killing frost is a very cold period that stops insects and germs from growing. Without it, bugs like mosquitoes and many kinds of bad germs called pathogens can live all year long. This means diseases spread easily and never really go away. When pathogens jump to new hosts, they can change. These changes or mutations can make them stronger or harder to treat with current medicines. Malaria is a clear example. It is a very serious sickness common in hot countries. Mosquitoes carry malaria. In colder parts of the world, winter kills many mosquitoes. This helps to stop the spread of malaria. People in places like the United States and Southern Europe once had malaria, but the cold helped them to get rid of it over time. In hot countries, mosquitoes stay active all year, and so does the disease. This makes it very hard to control. When many people are sick, it hurts a country's economy. A sick workforce cannot work well. People who are ill cannot be as productive. They might miss work, or they might not work as hard. This means businesses make less money, and the country produces fewer goods and services. Overall, the economy becomes weak. Families in hot countries often spend a lot of their money on medicines and doctors. They need to care for sick family members. This money is then not available for other important things. It cannot be used to buy food, educate children, or start new businesses. This creates a difficult cycle of poverty and bad health. There is also a problem called the pharma gap. Many important medicines, like those for malaria, are made by large drug companies. These companies are often in rich, cold countries. They spend a lot of money to find and make these drugs, so they sell them at high prices to make a profit. For example, a full treatment for malaria might cost a few dollars in a rich country like the United States. But the same medicine can be sold for 5 times that price in parts of Africa. People in these hot countries need the medicine badly to save lives, but they often cannot afford it. This happens because these countries do not have enough money or resources to make their own medicines. This situation makes things worse. When people cannot get the medicine they need, they stay sick. This keeps the workforce weak and the country poor. The lack of access to healthcare and medicine also leads to sad facts.
Infant mortality, which is the death of babies, is 50% higher in hot countries than in cold ones. Also, people in hot countries live about 8% less long. These numbers paint a grim picture of how temperature, public health, and the economy are connected. It is a vicious cycle where poverty and poor health keep each other strong. 6. Farms and food. Many people believe that hot weather is excellent for growing food. They think that because it is warm all year, farms in hot countries can grow crops without stopping. However, this is often a myth. The truth is, farming in tropical, hot places comes with many challenges that make it hard to produce enough food. These challenges often make hot countries poorer. First, the constant heat in tropical areas damages the soil. In colder parts of the world, freezing temperatures and snow help the soil. Dead plants and leaves break down slowly, putting important nutrients back into the ground. This makes the soil rich and good for farming. But in very hot places, tiny animals and microbes break down dead plants too quickly. The soil does not get enough new nutrients, so it becomes poor. This makes it hard for crops to grow strong and healthy. Second, hot weather brings many pests. In cold climates, winter kills many insects and stops diseases from spreading widely. This gives crops a break from pests for part of the year. But in hot, tropical places, insects and other pests can live and reproduce all year long.
They destroy crops in fields, eating a lot of the food farmers try to grow. Farmers then have to buy expensive chemicals to stop these pests. These chemicals cost a lot of money and can also harm the environment, making the soil even worse over time. Also, a lot of the farming technology we use today was made for colder places. Big machines like tractors and special kinds of fertilizers work well in the large, flat fields often found in temperate zones. These tools and ways of farming were created for specific types of soil and weather. But these methods and machines often do not work as well in tropical soils, which are different, or with the crops grown there. It is not easy to just take technology from a cold country and use it in a hot country. Because of these problems, farms in hot countries often produce less food. For example, important crops like rice, corn, and wheat grow about 50% more in temperate areas. When a country cannot grow enough food for its people, it has to buy food from other countries. This costs a lot of money. Instead of using their money to build up industries or improve their country in other ways, hot countries spend it on importing food. This makes it harder for them to become wealthy. At the same time, countries in colder regions often grow more food than they need. They can sell their extra crops to other nations. This helps them earn more money and get richer.
For example, in 2022, the United States exported about $118 billion in crops. The Netherlands, Germany, and France also exported many billions of dollars in crops. This creates a cycle where hot countries spend money to eat, while cold countries earn money from food, increasing the gap between them. 7. Some special countries. In our journey, we have learned that warmer countries often have more economic struggles than colder ones. However, this chapter looks at exceptions. These special countries show that things like good leaders, smart plans, and natural resources also play a big role in a country's wealth, sometimes even more than the weather. First, consider Singapore. This island nation is very close to the equator, so it is always hot, with temperatures often between 25 and 31 degrees Celsius. Yet Singapore is one of the richest places in the world. Its success comes from its perfect location for global trade. Many ships travel through its waters, connecting different parts of the world. The country's government has also made wise choices. For example, it keeps taxes low for businesses and welcomes skilled people from other countries. These decisions have helped Singapore's economy grow very strong. Next is Qatar, a country in the Middle East. It is extremely hot there, with temperatures often going over 30 degrees Celsius every day. Qatar is very rich because it has huge amounts of oil underground. It sells this oil to many countries, which brings in a lot of money. However, this wealth depends on oil, which will not last forever. When the oil runs out, Qatar's economic situation might change greatly. Now, let's look at cold countries that are poor. North Korea is one example. It has very cold winters, with temperatures sometimes falling to minus 26.5 degrees Celsius. Despite the cold, North Korea is one of the poorest countries, with its wealth per person around $1,300. This poverty is not due to its climate, but its government. Leader Kim Jong-un keeps the country closed off from much of the world. It has very strict rules and does not trade openly with many nations. These political choices harm its economy. Another country with a cold climate facing economic problems is Russia. This vast nation spans almost all of Asia's temperate zone, yet its economy struggles. This is largely due to the actions of its leader, President Vladimir Putin, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. Many countries have placed sanctions, or economic limits, on Russia, which have caused its economy to weaken. While Russia has many resources, political decisions have stopped its economy from reaching its full potential. These examples teach us that while geography and climate can make things harder or easier, human choices are very powerful. Good government, strong trade, and wise use of resources can help a country become wealthy, even if it is hot.
Bad political decisions can make a cold country poor. It shows that people's actions matter a lot for a nation's future. 8. What will happen next? The future of our world is changing. The planet is getting warmer because of climate change. This means that many countries, especially those already struggling in hot regions, will face even bigger problems. Scientists believe that global temperatures will increase by about 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit by the 2030s. This warming will affect everyone, but poorer nations may suffer the most. Think back to what we learned. A 1 degree Celsius increase in average temperature can make a country's wealth, or GDP per person, drop by around $762. With a global rise of 1.5 degrees, some parts of the world could see a drop of over $1,000 in wealth per person. This does not even include other problems like more intense storms, floods, and rising sea levels. These environmental changes will likely cause even more damage to people and their economies. Throughout this story, we have seen how warm temperatures create challenges. First, farming becomes harder as heat and pests damage crops. Second, health problems increase because diseases spread more easily in hot climates. Third, history shows that colder countries gained an early lead in industry and trade.
This made it very difficult for hot countries to develop at the same speed. These past events still affect nations today. It is clear that there is a strong link between warmer temperatures and less wealth. But we also learned that human choices can change things. We have the technology to increase crop yields, even in the hottest places. We have medicines that can stop many infectious diseases. We can also create fair trade agreements that help all nations grow their economies without one country taking too much from another. These solutions need big changes from governments and businesses around the world. Often, making a profit is seen as more important than making sure everyone has basic human rights. However, a different future is possible. We could choose to share technology, information, and medicine to make life better for all people. The problem is real, and what will happen next depends on the choices we make now. Do you think countries will truly work together to help tropical nations prepare for a warmer world?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.